forward on versus a policy on differentiated instruction. So I would, just some of the things we're looking at in the policy committee: differentiated instruction, off-site and independent study, corporate sponsorship and partnerships, which has been on here for quite a while. Systematic review of current policies, that's always happening, and you see the security policy, the privacy policy that we're working on, and I think we've added a few others this year that are more along the standard required, kind of reviewing what we don't have. I think healthcare and nutrition, we've added some new policies this year. Policy on safe schools, which is somewhat related to what we're doing with the security and the privacy. Research on policies and practices on guidelines for homework. Those are some of the things we're working on right now, and I think Mrs. Vaca is right. Policy subcommittee, once the new committee is on board, should sit down and set some priorities and work through some of these things in the next year.
And I would suggest that they need to be informed by the strategic plan.
Yes, I think everything that we do.
And the strategic plan really has to look at a very broad. And one of our, under the strategic plan section, there's a objective 3, so it's the third page from the end, I think, page 14. It includes things like developing a guideline, timeline for implementation of new health and wellness policy. Looks at youth at risk committee. It looks at tolerance and diversity. All of these things fit hand in glove with differentiated learning, with homework policy. They all have to do with the well-being of the child in the school. And well, I don't want to beat a dead horse.
I think you're right, and I think these all have to be informed by the strategic plan. Let me just read quickly what the goal statement of the policy is. The school committee will establish and maintain clearly written student-centered policies which are consistent with our philosophy as well as state and federal mandates. And all of these activities that I've been that we've been discussing here all relate to the student-centered policy.
Just a comment. The school committee by law has 3 functions. One is to hire a superintendent. Secondly is budget. And third is the development of policy. And the superintendent's role as it comes to policy is to provide guidance and research if needed, but then to implement that policy. So part of this may be that the structure of how that subcommittee is organized, because technically you're turning over to that committee the actual work of developing the policy, and that may not be the most efficient way to do it.
So we made it into policy and establishing policy.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying some committees actually do this in a public session, but I think that's a very cumbersome. In other words, the entire committee works on it, which is the reason why originally a policy subcommittee was organized. So maybe you need to step back and take a look at, is that the most efficient way, or does the policy subcommittee say, well, we're going to prioritize ABC policy and then turn that over to the superintendent or someone else to actually develop the framework for the policy? Because right now, for example, I know, Nicole, you've done some research on differentiated instruction, on gifted and talented, and homework, and a number of other areas, but it's not going beyond that.
Maybe we could assign various policies. You write a draft policy on this, and then bring it back to a policy subcommittee to go through it, and either develop it further or refine it, and then bring that back to the committee.
Yeah, we could do that, or turn it over to
a policy subcommittee.
That's 2 people.
Made up of people who weren't here for the organizational meeting.
No, Nicole was here, but I don't think Steve was. I think that's why Steve did it. But that, I think
Has to
looking
work.
at how that committee works, I think is something we should,
I mean, it's worked
Think
in the
about.
past in that form, it doesn't seem to be working now, so either it's, scheduling or the people, or we need a new process.
right?
But we should be able to target a minimum. I mean, we have a process in place where we constantly review existing policies, We pick up ones that come at us, like video cameras. And then there's the third group is the ones that as individuals we put out on the table in our goal setting session.
Right.
So I think, at least two maybe from each one of those categories should constantly be on the agenda, and at the end of the year, action should be taken.
And see, that's what I think we need. We need to limit, if there's 6, here's the 6, and some of these other things are gonna come along, but let's try to
Right.
keep it to
Because
a
you need
workable
room
number.
for when they pop up
Right,
like that.
right. Okay, so next we have the budget. School committee will develop a budget which allows the schools, actually, I wanted to actually mention one thing on policy.
Yeah, because we met one of them.
We did move forward with our discussion on school start times. I can tell you, I've gotten some input from parents, I know Mrs. Baca has, probably some of us. I think we do need to move forward. I don't know, David, if I see anything happening this current year coming up, given that we really do need to open this up to at least a couple of forums. I don't think we can just go in and,
I mean, this is almost 5 years old now, or what was it?
no, it's
Yeah.
2 years old,
No, but the committee met, was it 2? Well, it's
2006.
It seems like 5 years.
It's at least,
2006.
So why don't we
It's at
schedule?
least 3 years old, and it hasn't gone anywhere except a report as so far, but let's keep moving forward.
Well, that's what I'm saying, we can't make these changes, in my opinion, in a vacuum.
September.
For
No.
September, in a vacuum, and just say, okay, we're switching times next
Oh,
year,
no.
and,
No.
And
But
I-
we can say for next budget season, changes could be incorporated.
exactly. But I think we need to have a number of forums before we
Oh, yeah.
move to,
And our goal was to review current research. That
Which we
was
did.
the goal, not
Right.
to implement it, but to review it. So that's obviously the first phase of,
So,
you know.
can you work through us and schedule some forums in the next month or so, and, then we can review the report and present slides, et cetera? Okay? So,
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint?
If anyone else has an opinion or a comment on the start times, our email addresses are listed on the website. I've
Right.
got a couple.
I have two.
Yeah.
And the
It's
report is up
helpful.
on the website.
Oh, it
Oh,
is?
good.
Okay.
So one of the things that we could do, actually, I think in order to have the forum, you need to have some structure. You
Right.
would need to put out some suggested time models, and I know that the principals are giving a couple of options of how that might look, and potentially how it could look next year. But I mean, you need something to discuss.
Right.
And so maybe putting some of those out there, and maybe even on the website, and see if you could have a discussion that goes, and we may have the mechanism to have that discussion
Yeah.
online.
Maybe
where
even a
people
poll.
could-
I think if you have some specific ideas that we can put up on the website in terms of
Or do a poll.
Yeah.
you know,
start
online
time,
poll.
Yeah.
right.
Right.
I think that's a
Yeah.
good starting
Give
point.
us some options and try to zero in.
If anybody wants to look at the research, I have tons. I have phone numbers of, superintendents you can call and ask them about how it went in their district.
So let's move forward on, did you have recommendations from administration now, or are they just the process of
I'm
working on?
still in the process of
Okay.
working.
So I think when we get some of those, we should bring them to the committee, get them up on a website,
Yeah.
maybe do a poll, and then, once that's there, we have something concrete to present as some ideas.
And just, what's always a good time for me to grab parents is the back-to-school season. So maybe we can be in the school and gather comments.
So we'll move that along. Next, the budget. School committee will develop a budget which allows the school system to meet its educational goals. And the objective was to develop a comprehensive fiscal year '09 budget that will restore programs and learning time eliminated from the fiscal year '08 budget, and that will also move the district forward. As Dr. Trout mentioned, we've made a lot of progress in this area. We're still hoping, obviously, to get the override and continue that progress. And an important thing here is open communications maintained with the Board of Selectmen and the FinCom, and I think that that's been
stellar this year.
It has been,
in comparison to
it's
past
really
years.
improved. I think the Finance Planning Committee team meetings are really helpful because you basically get everybody represented there. And I think that's been a big help in this process.
Right. Before Bill and I, we even championed the budget.
Right.
Was when Phil came out and said, we will transfer reserves, but we won't let our schools continue this way.
Exactly. There's been great
And-
cooperation.
and it's been, unbelievable.
So, and so we completed the budget. We have a 3-year budget plan that I believe Mr. Nelson updates on a fairly regular basis in case we ever need to put that in place again. We communicated the potential staff reductions if we didn't have a status quo budget, and talked about what would happen. And we've also worked on a 3-year needs-based budget. So I think the budget items, the activities are in good shape, the requirements, the funding isn't always there.
Right.
Another objective under budget is continue to implement the capital budget plan. That's on hold until October. We did get money at town meeting to basically purchase textbooks during this current fiscal year, correct? So we have to make those purchases by June 30th, is that correct?
Well, we need to.
Or
Or order the books.
Yeah.
Right.
And by the way, I put some information about those priorities on a special handout tonight.
Okay.
on the budget.
And Carl, the remainder of the, is this small cap here, capital improvement, the remainder will be in,
Yes, $50,000, which we had $120,000 small capital request in this year's budget, because $70,000 is being funded out of capital in this fiscal year.
Right.
Remaining $50,000 will be on the October town meeting warrant
okay,
for the non-textbook items.
and that will be out of free cash, correct?
Probably, yes,
Okay.
very likely.
And then develop a long-term strategic plan for school finance. A couple of things that we were actively involved in here was the municipal yardstick report, which has been presented several times, and which we've used many times in terms of comparing where our system is as compared with our benchmark communities. I find that's been a very helpful report in terms of being able to see what other towns are spending and what they're doing with their funds, especially in education. And we looked at user fees and changes in tuitions for the coming year. School committee will develop a budget which allows the school system to meet its educational goals. As David said tonight, these are really all in progress because security plan, we have phase 1 of that, which I believe is ongoing now. We made recommendations for improvements to our athletic fields. One thing that's on hold right now is capital improvements at the middle and high school. We put our secondary school building committee on hiatus right now until we get some word back from the state as to what we're gonna do there. Steve?
You read the goal again, but this objective
Oh.
is to develop and implement an ongoing facilities and ground maintenance plan.
Correct.
Those are the activities you're talking about.
And so we made progress on all of those, and the one on hold is the secondary school building committee. Again, under budget, to fund the secondary school building needs plan and complete the Batch Elder School project. The batch is completed. I know the administration has gone through a lot of work, providing a lot of information to MSBA, and we're awaiting, do we have to provide them more information, Dave, as far as you know, or?
Hopefully not, I hope it's sufficient.
So we're awaiting word at some point on reimbursement for the batch, and as I said, the secondary school planning right now is on hold until we get further word from the MSBA. Budget to enhance funding for schools through corporate sponsorships and partnerships.
Couldn't we roll that into objective 3?
Well, this
Part of
relates to the
long-term
educational
strategic
fund,
plan?
this relates to the educational foundation.
And the establishment.
And I know David has been working to try to find people to come on board and be part of that committee or part of that foundation. And I know we talked about it recently, so we're hoping to get people, and that's a foundation that would raise funds essentially privately and then funnel them into various projects at the schools, including our EdNets website. to complete contract negotiations with employees. This year, we're doing paraprofessional secretaries, food service custodians, and administration, and those are all in progress.
It's done.
Yeah. Communication, to expand community outreach.